to like say the cultures outside. So there's that explanation for the major, but there's also actually another layer, like for example, the emissary character, and she represents Ibu, the goddess of death. And actually, Ibu in Indonesian means mother. So that's the source of that term. So it's something that's connected with our Southeast Asian neighbors, but I think it's Manobo or Maranao. It's basically, there is an Ibu who they term as the goddess of death. So it goes to the names. Like when I named like Shamul and Ibwa as the aswang, those are Bagobo or Bukidnon demons. And I think it's Shamul that's basically a demon that can eat you whole without like swallowing, without chewing you, something like that. So we layer those in. Yeah.
Yeah. And Lakan. I think Lakan is a new addition, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, Lakan as a title though. Lakan
as a title. I mean, like when we were like trying to give Tressa like another sort of name, like how would she be addressed? Like, what is her agency? What is her title?
And then, I looked that up because I was looking to find out like what Lakan meant. And it's just really understanding that it's the person who is kind of like the head of the family, like the person who is leading the community, right? Like almost in a way like an ambassador, sort of.
Yeah. He's kind of the warrior. So there's another term called Datu, which is a chief. You can be a Datu, but not necessarily a Lakan. But to be a Lakan, you have to be a Datu. So the Lakan also really does connote sort of that warrior status in the pre-colonial hierarchy of that. So there's a lot of like picking and discussing and drawing from, plus it sounds cool. So who doesn't want to be a Lakan, right?
Exactly.
We should all be so lucky.
Yeah. But I think that's also why outside perspectives are great. I mean, despite what, and that's why the collaboration in the writer's room and even in the art is super awesome. Because we grew up here, but Jay didn't, our director. So even though he has roots here, his fresh perspective on how to do things new was important, because we also didn't want to do like the comics 1:1, and like his like the opening MRT scene was his idea.
His experience,
and it came because. So if you remember the opening of the first episode, our train,
girls on the train,
MRT, it kind of breaks down. Which we are so used to because we have shit infrastructure in this country. So we were like, we were just saying, you go home from work and suddenly the train breaks down, then you have to.
You gotta walk.
And then Jay was like, "What? You have to what?" So it was like his input that pinpointed that's an interesting story. But I guess when you're kind of in your echo chamber of how your culture is, you kind of don't see what's interesting. You know how people always say like, "Oh, I live a boring life," or nothing ever interesting happens to me. That's a lie. That's a lie. You just need an outside perspective to show you the things you are taking for granted, the things you are overlooking. And that's the kind of perspective other people, what Jay and Jojo brought into the team, because he said that's a great opening. That's a great opening. The train's gonna shut down, and then but it was just like, why would we want to show how bad the Philippines is in our first scene? But that was exciting. But that was a strong.
I didn't think that.
It makes it more grounded. Like it makes it more grounded and like kind of like grounded.
Yeah, especially after watching Castlevania. I watched Castlevania last week, and so coming to this felt like watching a children's show. So I was like, primed.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the body count and the blood spilling is like nowhere near like the last season of Castlevania.
Exactly.
No way.